My name is Lim Kim Jo, and this year I'm turning 31 in September. I help to manage Kebun Kebun bonsai here. I try to make time, like at least 3 days a week, every morning, 8:30 to 11. I'll drop by here just to see what I would like to do with the land and with the garden and what can be done or what needs to be improved. So basically the big chunk of the work is done by the gardeners. What Kebun Kebun bonsai is, 4 years ago, it started from Saxon because he lived nearby and he saw this potential how this place can actually be turned into perhaps an urban park. That time the ideas is there, but we were not sure what it can be done. So I think the process of getting the paperwork done and creating like manifesto, so we actually involve a lot of parties. So we have engineers on board, we have lawyers on board, all are based on volunteering basis. So it started off from Saxon's office in Saxon Design, the Saxon Gallery. I remember those times we were like probably once a month we'll have like a meeting and try to see how can we take the project, like realizing the project instead of talking it on paper. So how can we move it forward? Of course the process is not easy because the land owned by DBKL but it's maintained by TMB. If we want to use the entire piece of land, we need to get permissions from both parties. Last year we started engaging people. So we started off like designing logos or designing the entire plot of land, like where to do where. So we actually asked the kids to join us. So if we check on our Facebook, from those earliest photos, you can see some of the kids are actually involved in the design process of the entire garden. So we did manage to get a lot of kids that actually participate in that. And then moving forward, in September, we had our first gotong royong. So we planted paddies up there and down there. We actually learned it from Captain Zakaria from Sri Lovely from Kedah. He actually came all the way to teach us how, how to do it in the way he call it like SRI, System of Rice Intensification. So we try to practice that. So it does take a lot of work. We actually have access to 8 acres of land. So you can see across the road that plot. And then this plot that we are operating right now is 2.5 acres. Does have a lot of challenges in terms of getting water supply, in terms of getting power supply. But right now our main challenge is funding because everyone that comes here except the gardeners are volunteering basis. We are very fortunate. We managed to pull about 30 over thousand. So that was a good start. And then we approached Think City and they also very generously give us funding to help us to actually sustain the garden for at least a year. So then with that, we managed to engage 2 full-time gardeners to help us to maintain the garden. It depends on what type of volunteers. Like certain volunteers, they already know generally what to do, so they will just get on their own work. For some people that they doesn't really know, only come for the first time and they just want to experience, they will just come and then we'll kind of instruct them what to do. Anyone can come and you can, if I'm here, you can talk to me. If I'm not around, you can talk to the gardener. We open up the land to share the resources. We see land as a resources. Share with everyone, especially people that live in urban area. There's a scarcity in terms of land. especially for those that live in a condominium areas. We really think that the land owns the people. It's not the people who owns the land, but it's how do we cultivate our relationship with the land that makes the difference. Usually the gotong royong sessions or the workshop, we will post it on Facebook. I think at least Facebook is a very nice channel to reach out more people. So if anyone wants to find out, you can just keep in touch in our Facebook page. The beehive is contributed by Manly Poly. It's a group of people that they grow bee farms. So they're actually kind enough to contribute one for us. The idea of having a bee farm is to also to educate, and second is to help us to pollinate some of the food here. Apart from the kalulut, which is a stingless bee, we also have some wild bees around. It's just here, not so much there. There, the bee will love the flowers in front. The very important thing about designing a space is to listen to the space instead of imposing our needs to the space. It takes a lot of observation, and the garden grows gradually, so we don't actually plan. We have some basic ideas of what we want, then we will keep that in mind, and we sort of observe the land. So if you have a piece of land, a lot of the things that you want to concern is the landform, the contour of the land. For example, vegetables, we prefer it at the lower tier, which is flat, so then it's easy to access and so if you imagine a slope, so all the rainwater or what they call remnants from the soil nutrients, they will generally flow down to the bottom part. The bottom part is usually the most fertile for you to grow vegetables. Also considering the biodiversity of the entire area, so what has already been there, we try not to remove. Keeping the wild, it can actually help us to repel a lot of different insects that we don't actually want in the crops. It started off when it's a very natural state for me, because I studied landscape architecture 4 years, and during the third year during the internship, I managed to go to this permaculture design course in Batu Arang. So I managed to get the scholarship to attend the 2 weeks course. That studying in landscape architecture had prepared me for that permaculture, and having the seat for the course has actually changed my point of view in life in a way. So it's actually teaching us how to see the garden, if you want to build a garden or a farm, as a living organism, and it has to be self-sustained in a way that is energy efficient. How do you use everything so that it will go back into the circle? So I did my final year project combining permaculture and landscape architecture. So after that, I still have the passion in me, right? After I graduate, I want to find something that is relevant to what I wanted to do. That time, I think a lot of people doesn't really know what permaculture is. So then I sort of put that aside and go to work first. And that time I had a scholarship, so I was working for 3 years as a horticulturist just to finish up the bond. So during that 3 years, I learned a lot about maintenance and management, landscape maintenance and management. When I was working with Saxon, I actually went for another course, and it's called the Deep Ecology and Natural Building in Thailand. So I went for 2 months there, and coming back there, I was struggling already. I was I really wanted to do that, but this commercial landscape is not as exciting as before. So then at that time I met this group of people from Eat Shoots and Roots. I go and try to be in the urban farming. So then I started to work with Eat Shoots and Roots for a few months. And also a few months or so, I still feel like, I want something else. Like I doesn't really know like what. Then I actually took a break from doing all this and being in the industry for about a few months.